All right, thank you. Thanks, Tiara. I want to come to you now with our second principle of organizational change. And this principle is start at the top. It almost makes sense that whenever you talk about an organization going through any type of change, everyone knows that it has to begin with the leadership, it has to begin with the CEO, it has to begin with executive management team, so that their particular vision of this change has to trickle down to the organization. In fact, there's a quote that I want to use now in an article published in 2004 by Booz and Company. The author quotes, "The leadership must change first to challenge and motivate the rest of the institution, speaking with one voice, walking the talk to model desired behavior." It then further goes on and say, not only lead the change, but also the top leaders and executive management has to be on the same page. That is so important. I think that we've all worked with companies where they come up with this idea and they're going to lead the company in a particular way. And the leadership, the CEO wants to go with this particular route. But by the time it gets down to middle management, which is maybe, let's say, your direct report, they don't really agree with the change, or they say, well, hey, I'm just doing this because it's just a job. Organizational change has to begin with leadership, and all levels of leadership has to be on the same page. I work for a company, Urban Partnership Bank, where we recently went through a restructuring within the company. What happened in this particular process was the CEO had an all-hands meeting, which means everyone attends. This is a mandatory event. Everyone attends. He says, okay, the company is doing this and going in this particular direction. And so everyone was there to understand what the CEO wanted. That was only the beginning, okay? After we left the meeting, the all-hands employee meeting, it was up to each level of management, and I being one, to begin to take this down to our departments and to lead this particular change. So we went through a whole big restructuring process in which we were going through periods where team members had to literally reapply for their job because we were changing titles. As many of you know, in banking, you have the tradition of you have a branch manager in the location, you have maybe an assistant, you may have a senior, then you may have a banker and a teller. In our particular corporation, we were going from a service industry to a sales industry. And so we gave everyone new titles. We were no longer branch managers or tellers or bankers, but what we were financial center associates. We were financial center managers. We were assistant financial system associate managers. And so literally everyone reapplied for their position. It was something that obviously was met with a lot of trepidation, a lot of anxiety, and say, okay, so what if I don't get rehired type of thing. And so it was up to the managers, it was up to myself to first buy in to the direction of the particular bank and the direction of the vision that the CEO has shared with us. And so, it starts at the very top, it trickles down, and it has to be everyone on the same page. If not, this particular process of organizational change will fall. It will fail. We've all been there. And so this particular instance that we talked about here at Urban Partnership Bank, the process, although went through and happened and was successful, it was met with a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunity for us to say, okay, how can we tweak this particular area? And so there's things that happen during that process that the managers have to be on board, has to constantly share the vision of the CEO, of the executive management team, in order for it to be successful. And so the second principle, start at the top, is extremely important. I think everyone understands that. But as Sierra will probably go over with you as well, it just doesn't stop at the top. It starts at the top because the vision starts from the head and it flows itself down. And so, starting at the top is our second principle, which makes so much sense because the visionary is usually the CEO of a company. They have the direction. It is their task to lead according to the way that they believe the company should go or the organization should go. And it's their responsibility to properly, filtrate that information and communicate that with staff and each level of management. So as we go on and talk about next principles, we have to remember that change and organizational change does start at the top. Thank you.